Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am super excited to be talking about Eat to Beat Disease by Dr. William Li. It is a spectacular book, and I am so fortunate that we actually have the opportunity to have an interview with Dr. William Li. So I know as people spill in, you want to definitely ask your questions. I'll be watching the chat box closely, making sure to have your questions answered. This is truly an incredible book. I have been devouring it like no other book this year. If you buy one health-related book, this is the one to buy, seriously, because it is so beautifully backed up with science, and it distills all the incredible information on how to heal your metabolism. I absolutely love it. So I just want to give a wave to everybody. So wonderful to see you here. I'm so looking forward to having you with me. Daniela's in the house. That's absolutely fantastic. So with that, go ahead, ask your questions. We are truly going to be getting started in a moment. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Jessica. This is simply awesome. So I am going to hold the questions for Dr. William Li because I know he's going to be on the line soon, and we're going to delve into the awesome opportunity to talk about the foods that not only burn fat, but also heal your metabolism. This is so important because a lot of people feel that they've been calorically restricting, and they may in fact been dealing with their weight loss potential. They feel like it's slowed down. They might feel like they're at a plateau. And what I love about this book is instead of saying, yeah, go ahead and diet, have a limited menu, you know, diet can feel like a food prison. And I love that this is somewhat of an anti-diet book. It's really here to say, eat real food, enjoy your food, and make sure to reap the benefits of all the anti-inflammatory properties within these foods, which is simply awesome. Okay, so with that, I'm going to be looking in here because I know we have Dr. William Li coming in, so super excited about that. And it's so wonderful to see all of you on the line. Make sure to get your questions ready. Here he is. So excited. I'm going to give him a wave and say add as a moderator. So he is invited to come on. So great. Yay. Here we go. Yes, we are inviting him. He's coming in. This is simply amazing. Okay, let's do this. Yay. Okay, invite to join. We're Dr. William. There he is. Invite. And freaking out over this book because it is one of the best books I have read in years. I have devoured it. I bought the audio copy. I bought this beautiful copy. I am in love with this book because it is one of the very best on healing metabolism. So congratulations. You must be thrilled with how well it's going. Dr. William Li, thank you so much for joining us here. Great to see you live.
Great to see you, Julie. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Oh, it's been fabulous. We are so happy that it is thawing out. As a Canadian, you know, I love the fact that you talked about cold exposure in your book because we are very good at that. We have learned how to increase our brown fat in that very unique way of being Canadian. But I can't wait to ask you a million questions because I devoured the book. Thank you so much for sending me that signed copy. And I just so in love with your work because you back it up, but you have a freedom to your work. You know, I was just listening to one of the podcasts you were on, and I loved how you talked about people are tired of the restriction of a diet and that negativity that comes with no, no, no. And what I love about this book, it's all yes, 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 what to eat, what to focus on. So there's like, you can see I've been dog-earing this book because it's so juicy, but I want to start by really highlighting how different your approach is and how instead of saying, let's rev up your metabolism by restriction or specifically forcing things, you say that we actually can boost our metabolism through actually losing some weight, which is so exciting and empowering. Can you explain how different your approach is?
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks for asking. So look, I came into the whole nutrition field. And if you remember when we first met in Toronto,
Yeah,
my background is really as a scientist and as a physician. I came from the biotech world. So for me, it's really about unraveling the mysteries of the body first, and then thinking about how do we plug in what is available to us. And when it comes to biotech, you have to invent it. And when I moved into the nutrition field, what I realized is that Mother Nature's already done a lot of inventions for us.
yes,
So I think that, my own approach has always been about the joy of discovery. Oh my gosh, look at this. So in my book, I wrote about metabolism because it was really the next frontier after thinking about how the body defends its health. Where do you go from there? You go into metabolism. It's sort of the
yes,
unifying theory of what our health actually means. There's so much now about longevity and so-called anti-aging. At the end of the day, we want energy. We want a sharpness to our thinking and our brain power. And we want to feel inspired by our life. And food is, and the enjoyment of food is very much not only what I represent. Like I'm a foodie. I really enjoy and deeply respect the cultural food traditions,
yes.
from everyone. But also, that's part of what makes life worth living, is to being able to look forward to eating delicious food, sharing it with friends and family, and then a little bit of the adventure of, being able to tease my taste buds, so to speak. So I just thought, when it comes to metabolism, what's new? And man, was there a lot of new stuff that just like rocked my world, and I had to share it with my readers. But then secondly, from my first book, I told people to eat lots of interesting foods, more than 200 different foods that can activate your health defenses. And I was a little bit concerned at the end of my book, after my book was launched, that, maybe people would gain weight because they're eating all these foods. But it was just the opposite. I started realizing people were coming back to me saying, actually, some people were saying I was able to lose weight finally in ways that I couldn't before. And I thought, wait a minute, people are eating foods and losing weight. That's weird. So as a scientist, I kind of dove into that. And, it was sort of like the light bulb in the head going on moment to say, oh my gosh, Mother Nature has laced foods with bioactives that not only activate your health defenses, but also help fight excess harmful body fat, not just any fat, but the excess stuff. And by doing that, you can elevate your metabolism. And so what I realized is that so much of what we've been taught, including me, what I used to believe about metabolism and body fat, I'm just like everyone else. I had the same misconceptions. You're born with a slower or fast metabolism. People that are thin are okay. People that are overweight or obese, they got a problem. No. It's not like that at all. Actually, it's not that a slow metabolism causes you to gain weight and grow extra body fat. It's the other way around. Our behavior, our choices allow us to grow extra body fat, which then suppresses our metabolism. And all of a sudden, the tables are turned for everyone,
That's what I
that
love.
we can
I
actually do
love the
something about it.
empowerment. You're so right. You've put people back in the driver's seat of their choices, and to really understand the long game and how anti-inflammatory these choices can really be. My favorite chapter, chapter 4, really delving into all the actual ingredients of profound anti-inflammatory, the phytonutrients. When I think, like, I know Suzanne was just asking, can we actually rattle off some of the foods that you really recommend? I know just off the top of my head, quercetin foods seem to be very much highlighted, if you want to explain how that's really helping to heal the metabolism.
Oh yeah, let's go there because it's a lot of fun. By the way, before we go there, I'm just going to tell you, for anyone who has already picked up the book and you haven't gotten to the middle of the book yet, or you haven't picked it up yet, the most fun I had in writing this was in the middle section talking about the foods. And what I did is I imagined writing for the reader, that would be you, as if you were sitting in my grocery cart, the way that you sat in your mom's grocery cart when you were a kid, and how she used to push us around on all the aisles. And what I was imagining is, as a reader, I'm pushing you around in my grocery cart,
I love
and I'm
it.
whispering in your ear what you should pick up from the produce section, from the different displays in the middle aisles. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going into the middle aisles? Absolutely, to go look for the good stuff in the middle aisle. Ignore all the crap, go for the good stuff. The seafood section, the beverage section. And so there's a lot of fun, practical stuff. But let's talk about quercetin for a second as one example.
Sure.
So quercetin is a natural chemical. It's called a bioactive. It's present in foods like onions, for example, but it's also present in foods like capers, which are one of my favorites. Onions are in the produce section. Capers are in the middle aisle. They're either dried and packed in salt, sea salt, or they come in a little bottle packed in brine with a little bit of vinegar, okay? And one of the things that I really love about these foods is that they are natural ingredients in the Mediterranean diet, which of course we know is a healthy form of eating. So, what does quercetin do? That's the key part. Like, this is what I'm bringing to the table. Quercetin prevents your harmful fat from getting larger. It also helps to activate your brown fat. So we've got two different colors of fat in our body. A lot of people don't know this. White fat and brown fat. White fat is the wiggly jiggly stuff. It could be under your arm, under your chin. It could be the muffin top. It could be in your thighs or your butt. Stuff that we generally don't want to see and we want to get rid of when we're looking in the mirror, okay? But there's another kind of white fat that's much more dangerous because it's really inflammatory, and it's called visceral fat. Visceral means gut, and visceral fat is packed like peanuts in a packing crate. You could have a thin container you're shipping, but you pack a lot of peanuts in there. And so what you do to look at where the visceral fat is, look at the tube of your body. You might have a bigger tube, you might have a smaller tube, but even if you're thin, you have a small tube, you could still be overstuffed with visceral fat when there's too much of it. Okay, it's actually like strangulating your organs because the fat is actually packing everywhere, like choking your organs up. So you want to get rid of that. You want to fight that. And brown fat, which is the other kind of fat, is like a space heater. It fires up and generates heat. Any cold temperature location where people are outdoors in the cold a lot, besides Canada, studies have been done in Scandinavia where outdoor workers who are sawing down trees or doing outdoor work on rooftops, the cold temperature fires up their brown fat. Now, where is brown fat located? It's not your muffin top. It's not under your arm. Brown fat is not wiggly jiggly. It's paper thin, wafer thin, and it's plastered around our neck, underneath our breastbone, a little bit under our arms, a little bit behind your back and your shoulder blades, and a little bit in your belly. And when it fires up, if you look at a PET scan, it looks like a Christmas tree lighting up. And I have some pictures in the book that show the brown fat lighting up. Cold temperatures will do it. Cold temperatures will do it, but certain foods will do it. And quercetin containing foods like capers and red onions will do it. But so will foods containing chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is found in coffee, for example. It's found in apples. It's found in pears. Okay.
Lovely.
Activates your brown fat as well. Tomatoes with lycopene also will fire up your brown fat. By the way, lycopene is a natural substance, a natural chemical, bioactive, that if you were talking to a chemist, they would tell you, oh, it's fat soluble. Let me tell you what that means. That means that if you had a little teaspoonful of lycopene, the good stuff in tomatoes, which can lower the risk of breast cancer, lower the risk of prostate cancer, it's a great antioxidant, protects your skin from aging, from sunlight. But I will tell you, if you ask a chemist about, and you had a teaspoon of lycopene, what the chemist would tell you is lycopene is fat soluble, which means that if you were to put your teaspoon of lycopene or tomato powder into a glass of water, it would not dissolve as well as if you took it the same teaspoon and dissolved it in olive oil.
Yes.
Olive oil is fat. So the lycopene or tomato powder would dissolve really well in fat. Now, that's how you get more absorbed in your body. But here's what's a really cool thing I read about. If you want the lycopene you want to put it to work as a fat fighter, okay? You cook it up you cook some tomatoes up with a little bit of olive oil. You eat it. It'll absorb in your bloodstream because it's dissolved in the olive oil, and then it will dissolve get into your bloodstream. And you know where the first place of lycopene goes?
Where?
your belly.
Nice.
It homes right into the belly fat. Then, you know where it goes next? Number two?
I'm going to guess sex organs.
It goes
No.
into your thighs.
Oh.
And then the third thing it goes into your butt. All right. So if you want to actually, this has been studied by researchers at Tufts University in women who are actually eating lycopene containing foods. And they did serial biopsies where they biopsied the belly, they biopsied the thighs, they biopsied the butt, figure out where the heck all this lycopene went. First belly, second thighs, third butt. And the thing is that this is like putting a heat-seeking fat-fighting missile to go right where you actually want it to go to work. Pretty cool.
I love that. That's why those Mediterranean folks, they have such an advantage, right? Can we talk, this is a perfect segue into the polyphenols of olive oil. We share a passion for letting people know the importance of real olive oil, because unfortunately there's a lot of fake oil out there, the canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, junky oils that are masquerading as olive oil with tiny bit of chlorophyll to make it look like green olive oil. So what do you do to ensure that you get the good stuff? And what does the polyphenols really do for your metabolism and your health?
All right, let's take it back to the olive tree.
Yes.
This is one of the hardiest trees that you can find in the history of mankind. So if you go to the scrubby, rocky terrain of Greece or Italy, Sicily, Greek islands, you go to Morocco. I mean, these are pretty arid and somewhat harsh, very sunny climates. And these olive trees, they grow, they can live for hundreds of years. And every season they produce beautiful olives, right? So you go to the grocery store, you buy some. I mean, these days you don't have to worry about jarred olives. You can actually get fresh olives in most supermarkets. I love the taste of fresh olives. There's so many different kinds. By the way, I have a recipe in the book. I'm going to recommend that you check out, Julie. It is a tapenade made with green olives and capers and olive oil and lemons.
Wow. Every powerhouse just in one dish.
And what
that
you do is you chop it up and then you serve it, cool, like room temperature or chilled. And you can just put a spoonful on top of, if you cook fish, if you cook chicken, or if you cook veggies, you want to light up that flavor.
Sounds
and really give it this, like, oh man, it's a palate activator. Okay, so olives, because they're so hardy, they're made of tough stuff. And inside is a really tough natural chemical, bioactive, called hydroxytyrosol. Now, hydroxytyrosol happens to be good for the olive. It helps protect the olive against the environment, the elements, pests. But when we eat it as humans and enjoy that delicious olive, the flesh of the olive, or the oil of the olive, what it does, it activates our metabolism. What does it do? It burns down harmful body fat. How does it do it? By activating the brown fat. The brown fat fights the harmful bad fat, the good brown fat. This good fat fights bad fat. Fat versus fat. Why not put the stuff inside us to work? We don't need to burn it, suck it out, poison it, And by the way, I want to make a statement about this trend that's going on that I find kind of disturbing. This whole trend towards prescription weight loss drugs, the
Ozempic craze
and the Wegovy's. Look, I'm a physician. There are people for whom those treatments may be life-saving and beneficial, for sure. But for 99% of people who might even be thinking about those medications, it's not appropriate for you, okay? First, let me just tell you, this is my answer to everything without going into the medical aspect of it. You know how those drugs work? They block your appetite. They make it no fun to eat. Why on earth would you want to block your enjoyment of food?
Major side effect, nausea. I've had a lot of people say that. And terrible rebound. The second they come off it, they're having this ravenous appetite. So much better to do it right.
You don't want to block your brain's natural functions. Here we are worried about people watching social media and like going after these weight loss prescription drugs. Are you kidding me? And by the way, the other thing that's really doing a disservice is that they're so popular, by the way, that these medications, which were developed for and approved for treating diabetes, they're so popular for weight loss that diabetics are having shortages for managing their blood sugars. It's kind of scary. So
wow.
what I'm telling you, the timeliness of this book is that we can use a natural way using food by leaning into our food that we love to be able to activate what's already inside us so that our good fat can fight the bad fat. I don't care if you're big-bodied or thin-bodied, it doesn't matter. Everyone can benefit from this, because when we actually lower and trim down excess harmful body fat, even if you're skinny, it allows your natural metabolism to rise. And the thing that is, I think, so amazing, this is the kind of the jaw dropper, or I say the mic drop result of research that I found, is that, you know, there was a study done just 2 years ago, so it's brand new, of 6,000 humans, ranging in age from 2 days old to 90 plus years old, the entire human lifespan. Everybody's studied in exactly the same way. And this is a diverse human population. So 20 different countries, 90 different researchers, 6,000 different people. It's the biggest study of human metabolism ever undertaken.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found is that everyone's born with the same metabolism. Everyone goes through 4 phases of metabolism over the course of our lives. That's how we're hardwired.
Mm-hmm.
The hardwiring, by the way, Julie, is like the operating system of a laptop. Go to the computer store, buy a laptop. It doesn't matter whether I buy it or you buy it. When we open up the box and turn on the computer, the operating system is exactly the same and operates the same way. Over the course of our lives, life happens. And what happens is that, you know, things happen to the operating system to slow it down. Now, what they found in this, the first phase is from 0 to 1, the metabolism goes up. A 1-year-old has a 50% higher metabolism than an adult. Second phase is from 1-year-old to 20 years old through adolescence. You know, like anybody who's had a teenager knows that your metabolism, when you watch kids who are teenagers eat 2 or 3 dinners, they're bouncing off the wall, they're growing sprouting up like a beanstalk, we all think they must have a metabolic surge. And that's not right. Actually, the results of the research show their metabolism from 1 to 20 is going down, 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 down. Amazing. Okay.
Really?
And then what happens is that from 20, and this is the mic drop finding, from 20 to 60, human metabolism is hardwired. Our operating system is hardwired to be completely rock stable. Our metabolism does not automatically change.
So for all the menopausal women out there, you can embrace the idea that you can heal your metabolism. That if you're feeling like you're not able to eat what you used to eat, it's really shifting what you eat. What I love about your approach, Dr. Lee, is that you empower people that a calorie is not a calorie. It bothers me so much that people just felt like they needed to watch count their calories. And instead you're empowering people that truly these beautiful plant medicine ingredients have the power to operate completely differently. The fats, you have such a beautiful section in here. I'd love you to talk about the power of seafood and the fact that roe, you know, how few people eat roe. They all think like, oh, caviar from sturgeon is like $100 a mouthful. I can't go there. But the cheap, inexpensive roe, the astaxanthin in the salmon roe was one of my favorite sections. Did you want to speak to the power of omega-3 and all those incredible things and how that heals your metabolism?
Yeah, well, you know, for everyone watching this, again, you're sitting in my grocery cart. I'm pushing you around the grocery store, and you're going to pass the seafood section. All right. Now, maybe if you aren't used to eating seafood, maybe you'll quickly pass it by. But I'm not going to let you. I wanted to actually share with you that Mother Nature has included in a variety of seafoods this incredible substance that everyone's heard of, omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, yeah, you can get some of it from a plant-based source, but really it comes from the plants of the sea, the plankton that fish eat. Now, we used to think it's only oily fish, really oily fish, that have enough omega-3s to make a difference. What are those oily fish? I mean, I can recite them, I'm sure, so can people watching this. Salmon and mackerel and sardines and anchovies. And, you know, listen, I actually enjoy eating some of those foods, but I know a lot of people go, yuck, those are some of the fishy foods. I don't know. I'm not going to go for mackerel or whatever. I'm not going to go there. But, you know, the thing that I write about in my chapter that says you must pause to respect the seafood section is not only is it delicious, but the shocking thing is that studies from the University of Iceland comparing people's metabolism and weight loss from omega-3 fatty acids, comparing salmon, the oily fish, compared to cod, which is a very, very mild white, not oily fish. In fact, there's 6 times less omega-3s in cod than in salmon. Quite a big difference. The researchers originally were trying to figure out, wow, let's try a fish that's not going to work. Well, guess what? The results showed that people that were just eating a serving of cod or serving of salmon, but a serving of cod about the size of a deck of playing cards, actually had weight loss because of the omega-3s. Salmon gave you more, but cod was enough. And so all of a sudden another myth busted. So think of my experience as an author on here. I actually should have videoed this for social. Every time I saw a myth that I could bust, I should have gotten a little rubber mallet and taken an egg in a cup and just smashed it to show oh my gosh,
whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole. Myths about our nutrition are abound. So here's the thing: if the omega-3s in cod, which is not an oily fish, is enough to actually activate your metabolism, help you fight harmful body fat, then what else would actually have that same amount of omega-3s? The gateway opens to the seafood restaurant and the menu. And so what I write about is not only other non-oily fish, hake, halibut, black sea bass, Mediterranean sea bass, branzino. These are all great fish, but it goes even better than that because now we can go into shellfish, mussels and clams and shrimp and calamari and cuttlefish and sea urchin. And back to the eggs that you were talking about, eggs tend to have a lot of good stuff, right? I mean, look, when we start out in life, we need all the power we can get. And so that's why it's a great place to look at the power of eggs. So I take the most expensive thing like caviar, which is packed with omega-3s. Look, nobody in their right mind would be eating caviar regularly. I mean, even if you're a gajillionaire, look, I've sampled caviar from time to time. It's an interesting taste. I actually enjoy it in very, very mild, small, tiny amounts. I would never eat it every day. Okay. And it's like $100 a little thing.
A mouthful.
It's not worth it. And I really couldn't eat it every day. However, you can have salmon eggs. Those beautiful ikura eggs that the pink stuff.
The salmon color.
Exactly. You're dressed to impress with the omega-3s and the astaxanthins that are actually, which is another natural substance found in seafood. It is what makes salmon eggs pink and orange. All right. It's also, by the way, found in sea urchin eggs. If you like Japanese food and have uni, that's also good for you. But then if you like Greek food, there is a wonderful Greek appetizer called parma salata.
So good.
It is so amazing. I'm so glad you enjoy it. Me too. And that is really kind of like just amazing stuff from the sea. So many seafoods I mention, I write about, and I'm quite certain that, and I really take people because I've had the privilege of, for my research, traveling to Japan and Spain and Hong Kong and all these places looking at seafood markets, like the serious seafood markets where it's behind the scenes, the BTS of even the supermarkets and the fish markets. By the way, last week I had the privilege of going to the Fulton Fish Market in New York. Wow. It's called the New Fulton Fish Market. I had to get there at 3 a.m, which when they were all set up. Listen,
that's dedicated.
All the restaurateurs, this is during book launch week, all the restaurateurs were set up to sell. So I was lucky enough to have one of the vendors there, Ed Monani, take me on a tour, a personal guided tour of the behind the scenes, so I could learn where our seafood comes from, how it's treated, what are the issues of sustainability, but also just to see where it comes from off the boat. So one of the things that's amazing is the fact that all the seafood has omega-3 fatty acids. You don't need very much. I'm very certain that I'm the only person who wrote a book that has diet on the cover that isn't a diet book, that has seafood, a whole chapter on seafood in there, that is written from the foodie perspective, including the research that shows the benefits, and writes about king crab, Jonah crab claws, mantis shrimp, and mitten crab. I just decided if I'm going to write about seafood, I'm going to go there. I'm going to talk about the stuff that people need to learn about. If you watch the Discovery Channel, if you watch, Iron Chefs, or cooking shows, then you'll love to read this seafood chapter.
I have a couple people in here asking some very burning questions. One is, what are your favorite fish for avoiding mercury? So going small is obviously the ideal. But also, if we can speak to vegetarian sources of omega-3, I'm thinking you're going straight for plankton and those algae, but I'd love to hear your take on it and what you love.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you what I love first, and we'll talk about other vegetarian sources. So I grew up inland, not on the coast, but I grew up in a culture, an Asian culture, where we had seafood, and so I love light flesh, flaky flesh, mild fish that can actually be steamed, roasted, sautéed, and really just you just sort of sauce it really lightly. Ginger and scallions, a little bit of soy, a little garlic, some toasted breadcrumbs. I mean, all these things a little olive oil and some herbs. All these things, or now put the salsa on with the green olives and capers and lemon. All these ways of making something mild and delicious and healthy, even more tasty. That's what I love. But I also love crab. I do really like spiny lobster when I'm actually able to get it. If I'm traveling in places that actually serve it, maybe it's in Florida, maybe it's in the Mediterranean. Again, I'm lucky because I've been able to travel for my research because I study food, to be able to look at what's out there in different cultures. And I've just seen some comments. I know people are coming from all over the place.
Yes.
And I'm just looking at this comment like, you're making my mouth water.
I love it.
Yes. I want people to feel joy. This is really my take-home message. It's time to rediscover the joy of eating and align it with our joy of health. And we can do it through our metabolism. So what if you're a vegetarian, okay, or vegan?
Yeah, what do you do? Or you're allergic to fish.
Or you're allergic to fish. Look, first of all, there are reasons to be allergic to fish that might relate to iodine. So you need to be careful because anything from the sea will have iodine. But if it's not an iodine allergy, seaweeds, edible seaweeds, are an amazing place to get omega-3s and other bioactives like fucoxanthin. All right, fucoxanthin and chlorophyll too are actually found in plants of the sea. Seaweed is for vegasauruses. People that are actually vegans out of the sea. The fish who are vegans eat seaweed. All right, they nibble on the seaweed. It's a salad of the sea. Okay, now the thing is that you want to find seaweed, you can order it online very easily. Okay, but if you want like a real experience of it, find in a city. If you live in a city, just go to an Asian market and ask the person at the counter, where do they have the seaweed? And you'll see them dried as sheets or put in little blocks or shaved into little strips. And these are snacks. In Japan, instead of eating potato chips,
I love
they have little dried seaweed snacks, and they are absolutely delicious. They've got umami flavor. And if you're actually making a soup, by the way, a vegetarian soup, drop some seaweed strips in there, and you'll start to flavor it and give it this umami flavor. It's absolutely delicious. That's what I would actually do. Now, you asked earlier about mercury.
Yes.
In general, as a general rule, eating lower on the food chain, smaller fish, is a better way to stay away from the mercury. I did learn at the Fulton Fish Market, for reasons that are not entirely clear, of all the fish that are edible, swordfish, which also do have quite a lot of omega-3s, happen to accumulate a lot of mercury. What I learned is that swordfish are one of the few fish that can swim on the bottom or swim on the top. So they seem to go through all the different layers, and maybe that's why they actually pick up more mercury in their flesh.
Yes, I've heard that scallops are actually, the mussels are particularly good because of where they sit in the water. They're very low toxin and very environmental. And I know that you have a lovely section on mussels in there, and how interesting that all of the shellfish
Oh yeah,
have a place if you can tolerate them, which is simply awesome.
absolutely. You know, and,
Brenda raised a good point. She said that, all of this sounds so delicious. My problem is eating too much. And I love the fact that so many of the foods you talk about actually help to downregulate someone's appetite. Did you want to focus in on one or two foods that would really help people with their appetite, helping to reduce it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing is that, I think that we live, as humans, we're wired to eat as much as we can, because going back tens of thousands of years, when we didn't know we were going to encounter food every day, whenever we saw it, we gobbled it down so we'd have the energy. Our metabolism is really just about our body storing and using fuel. There's more complicated ways to discuss it, but I think for people listening, the simple new science of the metabolism is best thought about it as it's the process our body gets and uses fuel. So we're hardwired to eat as much as we can when we see it. However, we now live in abundance. Like, we're surrounded by food 24/7. And so when we kind of follow our nature
to overeat, and overeating is actually something that's not good for us. Oops, I think you fell off. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. So overeating is way too easy to do. But here's what I should tell you to say that's a way of not overeating. First of all, be mindful. Whatever you put on your plate, don't pile the plate up. Leave white space on the plate if your plate is white, or whatever color your plate is. Start with the veggies, okay? Because dietary fiber from plant-based foods helps to fill you up, all right? Eat more slowly. When you eat slowly, and this is the thing this is something that I really, for the person who said that they're hungry, you want to actually savor your food. Shoveling food in, okay, because it looks tasty and you got a lot to do, that's a big mistake. That's why in the Mediterranean and Asia, people sit down and they have a proper meal, probably lasts longer than we would be able to tolerate in North America, 2 or 3 hours. But listen, when you can wolf down everything on your plate in 10 minutes and then go back to work or go do something else, that's too slow. You've already put more into your stomach than your brain can actually process. You're not savoring your food. Savoring your food means enjoying the taste, enjoying the sensations. If you eat with someone else and both savor the food. By the way, if you ever go to Italy and you're lucky enough that you have dinner with a local there or have lunch with a local there, you know what they talk about? They talk about the food they're eating.
Instead of...
They're not talking about the weather. They're talking about delicious food. Appreciate your food. Savor. Don't take too much. Eat slowly, and don't fill up your plate. These are some tricks, and the plant-based stuff was always going to fill you up more. Now, if you want to actually slow down your next meal, the amount you eat, it turns out that one of the healthiest foods that you can eat, which are beans, okay, contain healthy dietary fiber and a lot of great minerals as micronutrients. Beans actually fill you up, but they also slow down your appetite for later.
Yes.
So if you eat some beans for lunch, you're probably going to not be so ravenous for dinner. So another little trick to actually kind of, let's call it volume control your appetite.
Love that.
It's a volume control. And think about it. You're driving in a car, your teenager next to you whips up the volume way too loud. So you want to turn it down to something that you can tolerate, that seems reasonable. Maybe switch a station to something that's a little easier to listen to. It's all very natural, Julie, and I think that's really what I wanted to convey in my book. I've done the heavy lifting on the science, but I'm telling a story of how we can use what's inside our body and what Mother Nature gifted to us in ways that are consistent with our discovering or rediscovering the joy of eating.
I love it. I want to get one more question in if you have time, because I know that your time is so precious in your book launch. But one big piece that I'm constantly being inundated with, and I know that you have a strong opinion on this that I'm looking forward to sharing, which is, people are scared of anti-nutrients within plants these days. And I know you understand that the hormesis of being exposed to these plant constituents actually helps us with our whole body. There's an anti-inflammatory action to our body's response to these plant foods. Can you speak to how people do not need to be concerned about plants? Plants are not out to poison us, and what you really have seen in the literature, which trumps a lot of the popular dogma that we see on social media.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I'm a scientist, and when I see terms that appear on social media or sort of in the general public that actually don't exist, that are kind of made up terms in order to attract attention to an idea, it really kind of rubs me the wrong way. So yeah. There are nutrients, but there are no such thing as anti-nutrients. I mean, you know, honestly, if you want an anti-nutrient, it's ultra-processed foods. You know, like, but actual nutrients, the things that people say, oh, be careful about what's in a plant because it defends the plant against what? Humans? No way. Actually, what's good for the plant is good for the gander, you know, good for the body. These are the same substances that activate our health defenses, activate our metabolism. Too often, I think, in the wellness space, we have people that are well-intentioned, so I give credit to them for that, but they're looking for some new content that can actually really drum the point in. And sometimes it's about getting attention to themselves. Whatever is going to be outrageous to really get people going, getting their goat going, you know, they'll say it. And I'm a scientist, so I have to only tell the truth as science says. And I can tell you there's no such thing as an anti-nutrient. Nutrients in plants, most of the bioactives we've been talking about, actually are incredibly good for the human body. Mother Nature designed it to defend the plant, and she is resourceful. They're also working to defend the human body as well. Thank goodness we've got somebody, you know, bigger than us looking out for us and for the plants as well.
Absolutely. Well, listen, this has been so delightful. I know we have a lot of burning questions. Anyone asking questions, I'll try to go back and answer some of them because I know that there's been so many. Congratulations on one of the best books ever written about how we do not need to have that restriction, that we can truly embrace more of a live it versus a diet. You are absolutely awesome. Such a warm and beautiful person. When we met, I couldn't believe how genuine and open you are. And thank goodness this book is out to help everyone recover their relationship with food. So can you let people know where in the world they can find this, which is everywhere, but I'd love to hear from you, and how people can stay in touch with you and get obviously on your newsletter so they can garner more amazing info, because you have awesome masterclasses. I see them come into my inbox and I'm super impressed.
Well, that's great. Well, look, my book is out now. You can get it anywhere books are sold. You know, Amazon's a great place, but anywhere else that sells books. And I always love the small independent bookstores because we need more of those little mom and pop shops around, particularly the ones that have been around for a long time. They've been preserving the heritage of literary works for years, and so I'm a big supporter. But you can get them anywhere. And by the way, when the book came out last week, we very quickly hit #1 of all Amazon. So that's #1 of 30.
That is such a difficult thing to do. Congratulations.
So go out and get the book. If you want to follow me, come to my website, drwilliamlee.com, drwilliamlee.com. Follow me on social, @Dr. William Lee. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. But one of the things that I do is I really try to, my mission is really get information out there. When I see something that people need to know, I try to disseminate, distribute it out. That's kind of my mission, my purpose in life in doing all this stuff. I think that food has an immediacy, and now I want to really bring that wonderful joy back into food as well. We should not fear our food. We should love our food.
I love it. It is the best belief system to give the world. You've given us so much freedom through your incredible research. So thank you for doing all you do. And I just want to plug Eat to Beat Disease. Guys, if you have not read it, it is one of the most incredible books, and again, so empowering. So definitely get these 2 volumes to feel empowered and thrilled in the kitchen. Okay, well, thank you. No doubt you have many of these to go to, but thank you for making time for our audience. We are super stoked, and I hope to see you live sometime soon.
Let's do it. Bye, Julie.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Talk soon.